This podcast is powered by Tequila Fortaleza, handmade in small batches, and hands down, my favorite tequila. Hey, have you been hankering to join Slow Baja in the Nora Mexican 1000 Slow Baja Safari class? Well, you better sign up. We've only got a few spots left, April 28th to Cinco de Mayo. That's right, we start off in Ensenada. You better be there a day or two before the 28th, though, because there's quite a fiesta. And then we take off and we run down the peninsula and see all the great roads, drive all the roads that the racers drive. We just get out way ahead of them, but we get a few minutes to stop, take photos, maybe jump in the ocean, grab a taco at my favorite taco stand. At the end of the day, we've got a spot for a michelada. It's a lot of fun, and it is a world-class bucket list adventure. More information is at nora.com. That's Norra, Norra.com. Slow Baja Safari class. And if you've got some specific questions, feel free to hit me up at slowbaja.com. Click that contact box and we can schedule a call. I can walk you right up to the pharmacy window, get your prescription filled if your doctor has said that Baja is right for you. Hey, hello, how are you? Thanks for tuning in to the Slow Baja. We've got a great show today. We're back to one of my favorite subjects, motorsports, and even better than motorsports, Class 11 racing. You know I love it. You know I love the slow guys. Well, today's show is with Ramon Castro, better known as El Tomate, well-known Ensenada legend. Before we get into more about Ramon, I'm going to shout out Saul Saltzman as my heaping dose of gratitude this week. Saul is the heart and soul of the vintage end of Nora. There are still some folks running vintage things, and Saul is one of them. He has always got something cool that he's running, and he also puts on the fabulous Vintage Corral, which last April was an amazing display of Bill Strop Broncos and the Bill Strop Transporter and Big Ole, and it was truly an amazing sight. So thanks, Saul, for the connection to El Tomate, and without further ado, we're going to get right into it because it's Class 11. It's going to take a few minutes. Ramon Castro, El Tomate.
Okay.
So I'm always here, I'm looking here, looking at you, looking here. Sometimes I'll snap a couple photos.
Yeah, okay.
But keep smiling, and it's your story I'm telling. Okay?
Okay, no problem.
Well, it's Slow Baja, and I'm here in Ensenada in the office of El Tomate, Ramon Castro, famous Class 11 racer. Tell me, Ramon, thank you for making some time for Slow Baja and to tell me your story. Let's start with, when did you get into racing? Growing up in Ensenada, everybody wants to race, yeah?
Well, when you young here in Ensenada, one of the dreams is race Baja, for everybody. And when I remember, I stayed in the school right here in the corner of my home. I see when the cars start in the 70s, one block on my home. And say one of those days I racing, and one of those I racing. And when I got the first chance, I start racing in the 80s. In the first of the 80s, I start racing, and I finished my first race, and I got right with co-driver for one of my friends, and finished in San Felipe 250, and let's continue race. I can race the 500 because I got a problems with the car, but one of the races is Ensenada to La Paz, and it's finished in second place, in one of my first races. And something funny is I young and almost 17 years old, something like that, and I no got a permiso for my mother to go racing. And when I go into impound, the guy say, okay, it's time to go into the start line. I say, hey, wait a minute, I had not got a permission for my home for racing. And I say, okay, I start the race, it's finished. When it's finished in La Paz, Porfirio Gutierrez, Indio Gutierrez, and me, and he sit down in the front bumper of the car, and I look him and he looked me and say, well, what is next? The the pit crew is coming 2 days later to La Paz, and I stop in every gas station for putting gas in the cars. And you know something funny? I called to my mother and say, blah, 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 crazy boy, blah, blah, blah. They don't get permission going to the ranch, sold 2 of the cattle, sure, had money, and coming back. And I had money, don't worry. I say, blah. He told me a lot of stuff. And it's a grand day. And when I drive the car coming back home, because I know have trailer for coming back, I know. And it's funny, it's race to La Paz and race to coming back home. That's funny.
And you were 17.
Yeah, 17 years old. 17 years old, and it's finished second place in the 82, something like that.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's it. And I do it. That happened, couple times to La Paz. I do it to Barston. I remember I go to Barston and I drive the car here in Ensenada to Barston to racing. And got one spare tire in the car, then down cams and extra parts for the car. And I drive it racing and drive it back home in the same car. No head trailer, crazy John boys.
Yeah, so you're racing a Volkswagen Beetle. There's not a lot of extra room.
No extra room.
And if you have to sleep in the car, it's very uncomfortable, I think.
Well, it's got a sleeping bag and it's sleep on the floor in the desert. And somebody of the friends going racing there is give me shower for in the middle and coming back home because it's no money to stay in the hotel.
Yeah. Wow. Ramon, we got right into it. I think you're kind of a little bit famous among the racing world, certainly the Class 11 world. If I'm not mistaken, you've set the fastest Peninsula time in a Volkswagen Beetle. Is that correct?
Well, my best time to finish the race in Ensenada to La Paz, I made it in 27 hours and 27 minutes, something like that. And I like to do it 24 hours, but in those days, it's only one gas station in San Quintin. And my chase is going in the gas station, and the guys stay 2 hours for putting gas. And I stopped the race car in Santa Maria for 2 hours because I no had gas. And my chassis say, they're going to bring gas to you. Next gas stop, you need a way either. Well, I stopped 2 hours the car there because I no had gasoline. And discontinue the race, but sure, I do it maybe 25 hours to La Paz, or 26. And this perfect race is only one flat and the Baja 1000. Stop for the gas, and in the last seal section I stop for 30 minutes, something like that, because another car stop over there, and it's great, beautiful, one of the perfect races for the Class 11. It's only gas and go.
So, to get this straight, you did the fastest time, and you're thinking that you could have been even faster if you didn't have to wait for 2 hours for gasoline.
Yep. I do it more fast, this can, and it's do a perfect day. It was one of those days that, only one flat for the Baja 1000 is nothing. And nothing happens in the course. I pit runner a lot. I know the course very well. And that time I finished front of a couple classes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I was at the Score 1000 in November of last year, and I think the Volkswagen Class 11 that won the overall championship finished in 40 hours.
Yeah.
So they did not win I think they finished second in the race in Class 11, but they won the Class 11 championship for the season, but 40 hours.
40 hours, yeah.
And a friend who raced Class 11 for the very first time came in, I think, at 48 or 49 hours. Is 50 hours the limit? Is that where they cut?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so he was 2 minutes under the cut.
Oh.
He made it by 2 minutes.
By 2 minutes. Well, this
and you made it in almost half that time.
Yeah. Unlucky, nothing, no problems, and do it very well. And the car running perfect, no problems. And I drive it solo. I got a different co-driver, but I drive it for myself. I do it 3 times in the Class 11 drive solo. and I do it one time in the mini truck when I start racing in the mini truck, and I do a better time. I do a better time in the class 11 on the truck. And what my best time is 27 hours, and my biggest time is a 40 something hours. When you go into the last 100 miles, you're not feeling that you going or you coming back. You only driver when you drive by yourself.
You're that tired.
Yeah, very tired.
That tired. And you're hallucinating, you're seeing things.
Yeah, you see elephants, you see people, you see everything when it's going to finish line. I remember one of those races. I remember I picked out one guy on the motorcycle. He broken the legs and he said, "Please help me." Nobody stopped and said, I started the motorcycle 4 times for the guy, and the guy jumped I held the guy to jump the motorcycle. He coming down and said, "You can drive the motorcycle," and I bring him inside of my car. My co-driver drive my car.
He sits in the passenger seat.
And I drive the motorcycle to the finish line. When I stopped the motorcycle almost by 5 meters to the finish line, and I told to the guy is crying and said, "Hey, jump in your motorcycle, you start in Ensenada for cross that line." And I start for cross that line in my car, not in your motorcycle. And I held to the guy cross the line on the motorcycle, and I cross in my car. That race is the race I do at 40 something hours, and I nothing can lose. I held the guy to finish.
Yeah.
And I finished 4th place, something like that, and say I'm very happy to help the guy in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and you get the first place in heaven then.
Yeah. Well, and that's all times. You need to stop to help when you need to help somebody. Right now, there's a lot of communication. This got a radio. You have a phone. You had everything for getting communication. In those times, maybe you see the fire, how something happens there. But right, all times there no radios, no communication. It's very hard.
Well, let's talk a little bit about when you started racing. Again, you're starting in the 80s. You're not going back to 1967. So a lot of technology had come into the race.
Yeah.
And pit crews and, more dollars. But when you started, I think you started very simply. You can tell me a little bit about the car, what you had in the car, what some of those experiences were like trying to sort out a problem as you went without being able to get on your satellite phone and call your crew to come help you. You solved it on your own.
Yeah, it's very young. You need to race with your head. Sure, you can. You need something happen in the car. You need to fix it. You own. The chase crew is. You need people that know what's going on in the course. And I told to the guys every time I start next point. I there in the minimal by 3 hours and the max 8 hours. I know when in 8 hours that something happens. You come in next day.
Look for me.
Next day come in backwards and see what's going on. And that's all time you need to get it inside of the cars. You need a water launch because the hell is coming for next day, not in the same day. I remember the.
Hang on for a second, Ramon. Let's just say that again.
Yeah.
The help is coming the next day. Sorry, I'm going to start laughing here. If you're lucky. The help is coming the next day if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Continue.
You're lucky this coming to hell the next day because, and the chase crew is need to come in. You need the people that know very well the Baja because it's a lot of ways, enough in marking and the course. And I see people when it's broken, I remember history's people is got him by 4 days in the middle of nowhere. And one of the people of the ranches rescued the guys because the chase crew, they say, "Oh, that guy is cruising already. Let's go drink something." And it's leaving the people over there, And there's a lot of histories of the people in the Baja that happens. And the people of the ranches rescue those guys, and a couple guys is coming. Each show his life in 1 week or something like that. In the old times, remembered. And Right now, there's a lot of highways, new highways, a lot of roads to come and cross the race course, and it's more easy to get help. And right now, the helicopters, the airplanes, and too many help. But all times, well, you need to get everything inside of the car for survival, survival in the desert.
What secrets did you have in your car for your survival? Did you have a little tequila in case you broke down for the night and you were done, or to start a fire, or maybe to keep you warm?
Well, let me tell you, one time in San Felipe, I got 2 gallons of water inside of the car, and I remember it's very hot day, and I got flat. One of those races, everything happens, flat, problems with the gas filters, problems all day, and the water is done. And I stopped for one guy, is look for the race, and the guy's got a big party, and I told the guy, hey, you had water? No, I had only tequila and brandy. Okay, give me a little bit. The guy gave me a full bottle, and I drink on one at a time, and I know what's going on with the Old West. I wake up pretty soon with the alcohol, and it's continue the race, but it's crazy. No water, only tequila.
No water, only tequila. You heard it here first, folks, on Slow Baja.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here, Ramon, and we'll be right back with more.
Okay. Thank you.
Here at Slow Baja, we can't wait to drive our old Land Cruiser south of the border. And when we go, we'll be going with Baja Bound Insurance. Their website's fast and easy to use. Check them out at bajabound.com. That's bajabound.com, serving Mexico travelers since 1994. Hey, we're back with El Tomate, Ramon Castro, and we're just hearing about his history of racing Class 11 in the 80s. You had a lot of success.
Yeah.
You won a lot of races.
Yeah, I win a lot of races, and I got the lucky to win a lot of races, and I go and race in Vegas, I go and race in Colorado, and when I joined, they did, there's one race in Colorado. Okay, let's go race over there. Hey, 3 days driving from my home to there. It's crazy. I had no idea when I start going there. And stay in Colorado racing and coming back home for another 3 days for coming back. He's going several times to race to Vegas, and I win a lot of time in Vegas. I win in Boston. He's win a lot of races in Boston in U.S. And in those old times, Armstrong Tire sponsor me. Is when I little lucky the guys sponsored, and the first car win for Armstrong Tire, and the last car to sponsor for those guys. And when it's coming the Golfo, it's down the sponsor for everybody, and but that's got a beautiful times to those guys.
So as one, I think, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're one of the only Mexican racers who's made a name for himself also in the United States, racing off-road and winning off-road against maybe some much bigger dollar teams.
Well, no, that time the Willie Valdez.
Oh, yeah, of course, Willie Valdez.
Yeah,
yes.
Willie Valdez is coming on the top, and one of the monuments with the Ford Rangers. He sponsored for the Ford company, sponsors for the different tires, and Armstrong sponsored me, and that time that's Willie Valdez, one of the guys, Mexican guys, is got a good sponsorship.
Did you make some friends doing this for so many years?
Oh, sure.
I mean, you're 40-something years racing now, yeah?
Yeah, sure is. They started in the 80s, and almost I win the NORA with one of my friends is racing NORA, and I drive it with those guys, and he's win the NORA almost by 2 or 3 years ago, the Ensenada to Cabo, and it's got a good moment. I like it, that race, because it's a fun race. That does not have depression or the real race. And you stop every day, you see, you you partners with when you stop drinking and food every day, you see people not see in 20 years, 30 years, and back. It's coming back the all these stories. Oh, I got in first place. I see you there, and I passed you, and that's many histories of that stuff, and it's funny.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things about the Nora race. And of course, I don't race the score stuff. I do slow things with Nora, the Slow Baja Safari class. But I think that is a beautiful thing that you stop each night and you have time to fix, you have time to get clean, you have a little fiesta, a little food, and you have a chance to see your old friends and talk to them in a manner. You're all doing the same thing. It's lots of fun. Maybe you're not fighting head to head for the win, but it's very friendly. They call it the happiest race on earth for a reason.
Yeah, that's right. That race is a full vacation week. You go on pit runner, you got vacations where you stop, you love it, do it.
Yeah.
Everybody there. I see people right now. This guy 80 years old, 70 years old, and it's beautiful when you see it's coming with his son, with the grandsons, and it's a stay in the sport. You love it, do it. And I think so. This is one of the sports you can do it no matter how many years you have, and get fun with all the family and all the friends, and get a good times.
Yeah, I think this year the interesting thing in the 500 is, again, you see P.J. Jones, Parnelli's son, is winning and getting a trophy. You see Chris Stewart, Ivan Stewart's son, coming over, and he's winning, but he's having a shot with me. And you see Robbie Gordon letting his son drive, in his new UTV. And to see, I don't know how old the son is, but he looks like he's 13, 14, maybe 15 years old. And it passes generations and passes generations. And Mike Perlman is doing something that his father started. Eliseo Garcia is doing something that his father started. And I think that's a beautiful history on display.
Yeah, it is. It's the same. Right now, I do almost the local races here in Ensenada, and I do that because I remember my old times when it's hard to race, and right now I had to race the coming new generations. The first race for Gustavo Vildosola is one of the Ensenada San Felipe, one of the local races here, and Ampudias is raced there too when he's very young, and a lot of guys with the motorcycles do the local races. And it's the cheaper way to race, and this is why I do the local races. And for coming, you're very happy when you see all the family is held, the new generations, the new kids, and it's got a good time, family time. Ensenada, San Felipe races, the local races.
Right, you see Bruce Yee and his father.
Yeah. The G's coming, and the new boys coming, and Memo Rodriguez, that is the father-in-law of G's, is coming. He wins several Bajas either, and that's a lot of families is coming, and it's a good start for the boys and the local races.
So you started in Class 11, building a Volkswagen Beetle when you were 17 years old.
Yeah.
Your mother and father didn't know.
Well, no, he looked me every day here, and he gone in the shore every day. They say, "Don't hell this crazy boy." But my father is passed away when I had 7 years old.
Oh, yeah.
But my mother every time stayed with me, and I do it right, and he looked. I were in the car, but he never. He said the guy never raced, not have money for racing, and I worked hard and this race. With the time I do it with Porfirio Gutierrez, he paid the entry, and I do the full car, and then say when he testing the car, say okay, the car work good, I race with you. Okay, my promise is got the car ready. The car is ready. You need to pay the entry. You need to pay the stuff, and he paid the entry, and he's go racing. I have no idea where I going when I going to La Paz. I fly to La Paz by 2 or 3 times with my family, but I never drive her to there. When I drive her, I say, hey, where is here? Oh, it's San Ignacio. Oh, how long is La Paz? Oh, maybe one day more. Oh, okay. That's fine. I have no idea where I'm going.
Maybe one day more. Do you remember what that entry fee was in 1981?
The entry of those times, I remember it's almost by $500, something like that. And it's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah, but right now it's crazy.
Do you remember how much you might have been earning as a 17-year-old in those days when you were working? How much you got paid by the hour?
Oh, I was work hard. You know, I started driving by 12 years old, and I started driving cars from Tijuana to Ensenada to one of the guy coming salvage cars for sale, and I started driving those cars, and the guys is paying me $150 for each car I come in for Riverside to Ensenada. And sometimes I get in the trailer, sometimes I drive her, sometimes I stop on the freeway any 20 minutes to put water, to change the tires, because his car's coming, you know, the accident, and you need to come in here to Ensenada. And I work hard in that, and it's coming here, fix those cars, get it ready to sell, and I collect good money in those times. But
yeah, it sounds like very good money. It sounds like a lot better than what I was earning in 1981.
Yeah, but this work hard, you know. And I repair motors, and that's time for the same guy for the sale. And I start working very young.
So good preparation for racing too, to be self-sufficient, to know how to fix things.
Yeah.
And to have the internal drive to get to the finish.
Yeah.
You only got paid when you got to the finish.
Yeah, that's right. I got experience with mechanic, and I got experience for the cars coming with the accident, broken, and that stuff. When I race and something happens, I know what I need to fix it. And this one snow is I say, oh, something happens. And this has helped me a lot to get a good luck in the races. You know, the good preparation is coming with the good luck.
Yeah. Tell me about when you are racing solo and you're changing navigators.
Yeah.
But you're racing you're Iron Man.
Yeah, right.
Tell me about your mental state and how you're able to continue to focus for such a long period of time. Kurt Leduc said, hey, it's easier for him to not change drivers, to just be in the driver's seat, to change a navigator.
Yeah.
And if you're in front, you're fully concentrating. But if you're not in front, that's when your concentration can go.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about what it's like where you are in the race.
Yeah, when you're going in the first place, you got a concentration very well and very easy. When you start the problems, you lose the concentration a little bit, because they say, oh, I lost here 4 hours, 3 hours for fix the car, and I need a driver another 20 hours, so I need a driver 10 hours more. But what I do I put a different co-drivers in the time the guys is work. Almost I put one of my first driver is co-driver. He is a farmer. He wake up every day 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and he's jamming the car in that time. Start with me, and he out the car and come in and jump in the car next day by 5 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
He's ready to work.
Yeah, it's ready to work.
He's ready to work all day.
Yeah. And,
being with you is easy.
Yeah, and the night time, I put a one bartender guy. And that guy stay in the car almost by 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and he know is the lifetime. And I jump another guy. Is almost Saint John boy on me, but that guy is a guy stay all day blah 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 blah, but grandly he never stop speak, you know, and say let's go, and he got all the power, you know, and he's living wake up and focus. You never lose the focus with the finish line and that race. It's very nice. Change people. You know, I know I put the bartender guy when 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, guys maybe sleep. But and the other guy put in the middle of the night, maybe the guy is like, and I put the people, the right people in the right moment, and it's hell a lot.
So it's all about strategy. You've got the right people in the car at the right time for their rhythmic, their sleep cycle as well.
Yeah.
And the chatty guy who's keeping you going at the end when you're gone mentally, when you're faded, you've got the
because some of the hard time is when the sun coming down, and this start almost by 6 and the afternoon, when it start dark. That's time the lights is nowhere. You can see very well, and your focus is start coming. You're going a little low down, and it's when the call driver say, "Hey, come on, wake up and let's go do it something." And I remember, when I do it, the 27 hours is going in first plate, and when you pass another fast classes, the adrenaline is coming.
Yeah, it amps you up.
Yeah, it amps you up. But when you have the race with the 40-something hours in the car, and you see people coming backwards in the course and say, "No, I coming right," and say, "Oh, I'm wrong or I'm right," and it's too much time. You see people, you see elephants, you see animals, and you see everything. One of the trees is say, "Hey, look at that people there." What people? And that time when something happens in the car, it's very hard to fix it. And I remember, and when you go in the car at that time, I remember I pull out the spark plug cables. I put my fingers over there and say, "Oh, wake up." Wake up,
The secrets of Ramon Castro. You have to shock yourself.
And then it's got a one chile or something like that. That is discontinue wake up. It's, 40-something hours.
It's crazy.
Inside of the car is crazy. When I cross the finish line, I go on the floor. It's too much time. I do a lot of exercise in that time, and I walk, I running, and I not drink, I not smoke, but I got a good condition. But 40-something hours in the car. I remember I pull people that do a lot of exercise. The people that do the marathon for 42 kilometers. And I remember those guys by 100 miles. "Oh, I like it coming down on the car. It's too hard to me." And everybody got the body for whatever you like to it.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about when you made the jump to Class 7. So you've done very well in Class 11. You've won an awful lot of races, and I think finishing is so hard. Yeah. Winning is so much harder than just finishing. To win, and then making the jump to do something even faster and more competitive. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Well, when I jumped to the 7S, I had a dream that maybe one of the companies had sponsored for continuing on the races. Armstrong Tires helped me a lot for that. The tiny race in the truck. He told to a couple companies, and fuel cell sponsored the fuel cell tank. It costs a lot of money, and I do the car, ball by ball, and nut by nut and everything, and I do my best in the car. And I remember I going several times. I going in first place, but the money is the difference sometimes. That time. All the companies stay there: Ford, Chevy, Nissan, Toyota. All the companies is there. And I remember when I changed one alternator, I pull out the alternator of one of my chase trucks to one of my friends. "Oh, this alternator." Okay, I adapter to my car, and I stay work by 2 hours for adapter the alternator. The another company guys is change motor and transmission at the same time. And this continues. I go first place several times, but the little things broken, I know have spare parts, and it's hard. And you see the difference with the money, and when you race with the companies, right, and you do it for yourself, It's crazy. Armstrong helped me with the tires, and I testing a lot of new tires for those guys. And but it's you don't have the sometimes for computation for the big money you need the same money for getting the safe.
And what type of truck were you racing?
I racing for Ranger.
Ford Ranger.
For Ranger in that time, and I do my own motor. You know that the class start move the motor to 25, and I go into power machine. The guy helped me a lot with the Volkswagen motor, and I don't have money for buy real race crankshaft. And the guys, I send the stock crankshaft to those guys, and he's helped me and do a lot of work in the motor. And I do the motor 25, and I put a Volkswagen pistons in the Ford motor, and I put my ideas in the car, and Bill Rodriguez helped me for that too. And the motor running pretty good. I do the rods for Rabbit, and that motor is going by 6,000 RPMs, no problem. And when I go in the dry lates and like that, the cold drivers, you say, "Oh, it's crazy, this noise."
Yeah.
And it's fast car, but you know, the problem is I miss the alternator with too much RPMs and little things. You need a different pulley, but you don't have money for made another one, and it's too many things to computation for the big money.
And what years were you racing the Class 7S?
I believe it's in the 90s.
Okay.
In the 90s.
So there were big boy programs then. You've got the Nissan program, the Toyota program. You've got some $1 million trucks that you're racing against with development and factory support.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah, I do it. If the guys has got a big support, big money, the Jeep for Walker Evans, that's McCracken racing that time, and it's raced together with those guys. I remember I passed McCracken with racing several times, and he say, "I don't know what's going on with your car, but this is the only car I got a problem to pass." But he got all the attention and all the power for the big company when Walker is held, and Jeep, the company spent a lot of money, and the Ford, the Simons, and at that time, Johnny Johnson, the Nissan Spencer Lowe, and all guys is got a company money, Matt Parsons and Chivys, but I'm driver. I remember the first time I raced in the 7S, I told to the drivers, "Hey, what faster I need to go in the class?" "Hey, Ramon, you stay in the class 11. This is for men. You need to using all the gas." And I remember when I started the first race in Parker, I say, "Well, the guys say total gas. Okay, I'm ready for that." And I start like crazy, and I pass all the guys. The guys stop in one of the washes, and I drive over the same of the class 11. So no power, but this need to pass the washes, and I pass the wash, and I go in the rocks and everything. But I cross the wash, and I pass a lot of those guys. But when you got the mentality, the Volkswagen, almost you see a rock, you got the rock in the center, but you have good skid plate. And the first time in the truck, you got one rock, and you put in the center, you broken the differential. And I hit a rock in the middle of the differential and start leak oil. And my co-driver, "Oh, the differential start leak oil." "Oh, okay." And I continue almost by 20 minutes and say, "Oh, there's no more leak oil. There's no oil in the differential." And I lost the differential and maybe 20 miles more. And this is the first experience in the truck. I know finish is broken the differential, and I say, "Well, I need a driver like that, and I testing and I do very well. The second race is in San Felipe, and I finished in third place in that second race. That's in the 500. I go almost in first place, but I broken the motor. Well, I broken distributor gear, but gears don't cost too much money, but I don't have. And that's continue, and I finished 4 or 5, but it's hard to race for the company money every time.
And what can you tell me about your approach as you were starting to get to it? The approach of a Class 11 driver, where you're avoiding, and you're always power on, but you're trying to avoid the things that are going to break you or slow you. And the class 7, where now you have to figure out, if the rock is here, it's going to break that, versus when I used to go over that in my Volkswagen. But what other approaches did you keep in mind as different from the class 11 to the class 7S?
Well, the suspension is day and the night. And that's time the class 11s is got almost no many trouble in the suspension. When the flat section downhill, class 11 is fast, so a lot of classes. I remember one time I passed from Bethel, coming downhill by the Hacienda Sinaloa to Colon Camalu. I passed him, he going in class 8, and the class 8 is almost the same as got a trophy truck right now.
Yeah, it's a big V8, big V8 pickup truck.
And I come in behind him and say meep meep the Volkswagen, and I say when he see the Volkswagen, he going more fast, and I go more fast, and I continue my horn to him, and I say, and he I pass him downhill, and almost the Hacienda Sinaloa, he passed me in the beach.
Of course.
Colonet. And when he passed me in one of the sizes on the flat section, he said, hey.
Hats off, amigo.
Yeah.
Salute to you as he goes by.
Yeah. That's he is, because that car is going by 120 miles very easy, and I go maybe 70 miles or something like that in the flat section.
Yeah.
And he passed me over there, and this is the race, the Baja 1000, I do at 27 hours, but I go in my day. Nothing happens, everything's going front, and lucky in only one flat. On the flat I have is for my co-driver, he said, turn to the right. No, it's left. He said, no, it's right. They say, hey, right or left? And I get a flat. But this is the only happened in that race, and lucky race.
Explain to me the difference from when you started in the technology in the car versus now. So now everybody's got a screen, you're following the line on the screen, you're a dot here, you know where you are. Tell me about the technology when you started. Did you know where you were? Were you lost a lot? Did you have the route book and you're trying to say, well, I think I'm on the right place. I pre-run, I recognize, but...
Well, in those times, I held a score for doing the race book, and I know very well the course. But the old times, I remember is marking the course for the leaf and rainbows, and sometimes you put a different colors. Macmillan is marking with the blue color, almost when something danger.
Yeah, so he's sending a little signal.
Yes, that's little signal. Sometimes it's got 3 rainbows that is danger. One rainbow is fast, and all time it's marking a lot with the reflector for the night time. 3 reflectors. Sometimes is and the guys is doing a lot of things. Sometimes it's marking one section with 3 reflectors is danger, and 1 reflector is fast, and 100 miles something danger. The guys is marking for 1 reflector, and fast is marking for 3. This we change the markings for the another races. He's got a different idea what's going up.
Because he doesn't want the other competitors getting the benefit of it. It's like the catcher is throwing the third sign as the pitch because there's a guy on second base.
Yeah, sure is.
It's not the 5th sign or the 6th sign. It's the 3rd sign when the guy gets to second. Yeah.
And a couple guys is marking for toilet paper, and many couple guys marking for 1 can of beer, and a couple guys is put a couple rocks for loss in the desert. But and right now is a bunch of the new guys. The GPS is no word. The guys say, "Oh, I lost. I can't continue the race because I don't have GPS." Hey, come on. And and the old times I remember I see the stars, and say, okay, I'm going to the north. I'm going to you do a real navigator with the old times, and it's held almost in the. When you cross the the Diablo dry late or one of those lates. Nighttime with foggy and seal. You going in the tracks and you move the car a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, and when you feeling you cross the tracks, okay, you're going straight. But sometimes you're going wrong line, you're going to the middle of nowhere.
So what you're telling me, Ramon, is you know all the tricks. So you're doing celestial navigation, you're doing the dead reckoning, you're certainly using the markings that maybe you have personally left, and explain a little bit about how courses are marked. They're ribbons that are tied into a tree or along a fence or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's
For
right.
people who don't know anything about the racing. And maybe the greatest story I heard was from Mike Perlman, who was marking a course late 60s for his father, and the race starts and there are no course markings.
Yeah.
Because the wild burros had eaten all the ribbons. There was something that you could eat. I don't know if they eat the plastic ones now, but when we're driving around on a NORA race, you'll see some arrows or something from a previous race, and you have to know that that's not for you.
Yeah, well, in the NORA time, right now, the guys is bringing a race book. And on the race book, it's got the nuts. And almost a bunch of the cars is not got the speedometer. This marking, and when you read the race book, it's got a marking a straight arrow and say this 3 miles. It's got a, the idea where it's 3 miles. And at 3 miles, you see a dog it's got a white face, and you see the cattle you run. And almost it's got a corral, and you turn to the right in the corral, and something marking like that, and 3 miles you see a tree, and you going to the left, and you go straight, and almost 2.5 miles you got a washout, and almost you going fast, and almost 2 miles you start careful, right here it's maybe washout. That's maybe right here washout, and slow down and come in high, and race book is hell a lot. When you got a good navigator, it's great. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
Tell me, we're going to wrap up here, but tell me about how you got your nickname, El Tomate. How'd you get that nickname?
Well, that's when I'm very young. I got almost 15, 16 years old. And I start driving one Volkswagen, like Baja book, or it's only Volkswagen body with motor. And I got away myself, and I pull out. And when I put 2 tires in the air, I put one of the tires in one of my legs, and I'm very, very red in my head and in my face. And my friends, he say, "Hey, look, it's looked by Tomate." And that time he's got a Tomate for many, all my life I got the Tomate name. It's almost when I got 16 years old, something in the 70s. But it's funny, and it's stay with that name, and it's Tomate, and I got that name for many years.
And were you lifting the motor out of the car? Were you lifting the car up? What are you saying? You're a strong boy?
It's a strong boy.
Strong boy, but plenty red.
Yeah.
The tomato.
Yeah, because I too much power coming up the car, And there's no roll cage in the car. It's got a motor. It is one car running, but there's no seats, no nothing. It's the car using, it's my race car. And it's, John Boy junkie car.
All right. Now, Ramon, we're going to wrap up, but you've made a few friends over the many years you've been doing this. Tell me about some of the good guys that you've become friends with. Give me a little, we were talking about Sal Fish earlier.
Yeah, Sal Fish is a very good friend of mine. Memo Rodriguez is the good friends. And when I start, Porfirio Gutierrez, I ride together with him. And I got a very, very good moments with Sal and Memo. And Sal is the grandfather of the races. He worked hard and he worked a lot for the race. With the races and train out, right now, this I remember staying in Sal with 10 days in the desert for marking the course to La Paz, and Mike Leon, and those guys I remember had the power for you marking all day in the desert, and next day by 4-5 o'clock in the morning is wake up and continue in the desert for nighttime, and you very tired and like that, and the guys next day wake up almost same time and it's, hey, let's go. Something funny with Sal one time is marking the course with the Pine Forest in Sierra Juarez, and he got a one Toyota brand new, and he's stopped in the muck, and I stopped with the Sal Fish. I stopped with him one week before, and I know what's going up in the mud, and I go the faster I came for across the mud, and then say, oh, you like it driver crazy, you like it only driver crazy in the car, going slow, it's 4-wheel drive. And he stopped in the middle of the mud, and it worked hard for by 4 or 5 hours and pull the cars, and the brand new car is the only car he can pull out, and everybody just got to stop water and then say, hey, this it's going to shower, and they leaving the car there, and he's coming tomorrow, get a more big. And he said, no, I stay in the car. Okay, I coming back first time in the morning for you, and surprise, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, Salt's coming in my home. I say, beep beep, hey, let's go. What's going on? What did you do? One of the more local races is going in the middle of the night with winches and does stuff, and he can help and pull the car out. And lucky, he's out of the desert, coming back here in Ensenada by maybe 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and his wake up 6 o'clock in the morning for continuing the course. Something histories like that. There's many histories of that point, with Sal, and got a very, very, very good moments.
Ramon, I just want to say, hey, thank you for sharing a little bit of your history. It's been really delightful for me to hear about this period in the 80s. I photographed a little bit of this work, and I saw a little bit of it in person, but it's really great to hear it from you, to hear it from the Mexican side, and I can't wait to share a few of your stories with Sal, who I'm going to go see on Wednesday, a couple days from now. It's Monday here in Ensenada, and so thank you very much for making some time for me, for Slow Baja, and for sharing these stories.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate it, and I like it. Say thank you for the good moments to Sal. Thank you for Wadlot, the president of High Desert. He's a nice guy. He helped me a lot when I gone racing in Vegas and the High Desert. I had no idea when I gone there that very young, and he helped me a lot. That guy too, the Wadlot, and many persons helped me. One of the I talk when I win and the awards. I say thank you for all the big guys for not touch my rear bumper. One time I raced in the class 11, but I'm lucky, and everybody held. I feeling pretty well when I gone there, and people got a good times, and this is what I do right now. I can help the people to the races. I return a little bit with the help I received when I joined on iRacing.
Well, I appreciate you making some time for me and sharing a little help with me with my own Slow Baja. Is going to live with you for a while, so thank you there, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
Well, Ramon Castro has a beautiful smile and he's a beautiful human being. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, check out the pictures I'm posting of him so you can connect that voice to that big, beautiful human. If you like what I'm doing here, folks, please take a second. Most of you are on Apple. Get over there, hit a 5-star review, say something nice about Slow Baja, and that really helps people find the show, which I guess is important to some algorithm or something, because I keep telling you to do it week after week after week, but you got to do it. You got to. So take a second and please do that. And if you're on Spotify, and about 25% of you are, you can do that on Spotify too now. So hit that 5-star, say something nice, and help the folks on Spotify find Slow Baja. The most searched Baja term is Baja Fresh or Baja Blast, depending. And we got to get Slow Baja in there. You got to get it. You got to help me out. If you like what I'm doing, you can go over to slowbaja.com. You can drop a taco in the tank on the donations tab. You can go to the Slow Baja store and get some Slow Baja merch and help rep Slow Baja, which I appreciate immensely. And of course, you can see the entire archive there, 100 and something shows now under the episodes. And coming soon will be Slow Baja Adventures. So look for that Slow Baja Adventures tab where you will be able to find out about what I'm doing in Baja and how you can join me should you want to get into the Nora 1000. Should you have a vintage Land Cruiser and want to join me on the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition. If you want to ride mules with Trudy Angel up to the ranches with Slow Baja, or maybe take a backpacking trip in November with Kevin and Genevieve on the El Camino Real. All those adventures are going to be under the new Adventures tab, so take a look for that. All right, without further ado, Mary McGee's pal, Steve McQueen, that guy, well, he loved Baja. And he loved Mary McGee. And he's the one who told her to get off that pansy road racing bike and get onto a dirt bike with him and come to Baja. Well, Steve McQueen said it. Baja is life. Everything that happens before or after is just waiting.